is Eric Sanders from the local Frontier. We're here at Westchester County Airport where the Collings Foundation has flown in a B-17 Flying Fortress, and soon there'll be a B-24 Liberator landing. We're about to take a press flight in the B-17, which I'm greatly looking forward to. It's powered by 4 Wright 1320 16-cylinder radial engines. They've got somewhere in the vicinity of 2,000 plus horsepower, and they run on some very expensive premium. So our pilot tells us he's going to be keeping the airspeed down below 200 knots. So I don't know what kind of views we're going to get, but we're about to find out, and certainly we'll share them with you as soon as we can. I'm really looking forward to this flight. I don't think that these 50 caliber machine guns are loaded because, well, we're right over Greenwich, and you know, we might have to wake everybody up. So anyway, really looking forward to this flight, and I'm going to do everything the flight crew tells me. Not going to grab the throttle. I don't know what the stewardesses look like, but we're about to find out. So please join us. Well, they're pressing down on the throttles, and we're all forcibly strapped into our seats here while we get ready for takeoff here at Westchester County Airport. For safety reasons, we can't stand during takeoff, and that's the sound of 4 16-cylinder radial engines operating on 100-octane aviation fuel. And I guess soon the pilots are going to bring us on our takeoff run. We're taking a hard turn to port. If you look around the aircraft, you're going to see fully equipped World War II B-17 G model. And here we go. Full throttle. Unsnap! Alright, beautiful. What a view, what a view. This Kensico Reservoir. We're looking down at Kensico Reservoir right now on our left, and we can see Manhattan off in the distance. Wow. Hey, there's my rowboat! Right over there! By Nanny Hagen Road. I'm looking at my own rowboat. Thank you, New York City DEP. Alright. Well, 4 o'clock! We got bandits! 4 o'clock! Right there! We got him on our tail! But in all seriousness, in World War II, the 8th Air Force that flew these aircraft had a substantially high loss rate. A lot of young men did not come home. Flying these aircraft over the European theater of operations They had a very, very high loss rate. A lot of men were killed. A lot of planes crashed. I'm gonna take a walk over toward the front of the aircraft right now. Right here you can feel the airflow coming in at over 100 miles an hour. This is a Browning 50 caliber machine gun. This plane was equipped with 16 of these. Each one of these has an effective range of approximately 4 miles. Fires a fully copper jacketed projectile with 12,000 foot-pounds of pressure. There's one here. These are the waist turrets. One here, one on the other side. Then behind us, we had a tail turret. Above us, we had the dorsal turret. The navigator had his own machine gun in the roof. There's a ball turret down there. And the later models had 4 50 calibers on the roof instead of 2. Stay away from the hatchway, all right? All right, I'm going to take a walk toward the front of the aircraft. Got the Tappan Zee Bridge over this way. I'm looking at Manhattan. And, what a view, I gotta tell you. This is what I need to do to dry my hair, man! Woohoo! Now this beats any video game, hands down, you know what I mean? What's cool is, if you go down there, you can see down below you, right there. See the ground going by down there. Rose, did you put your head up there yet? Do this with your glasses. Hold them on your face and stick your head up. This is the appropriate way that a beautiful woman should have her hair dry. Here we go. Woohoo! Oh, come on, a little more. For the guys, come on, baby. That's right. You know what they said about the electric spanking of war babies? This is exhilarating. I don't think I've honestly ever felt this way in my life. I got my head sticking out of the roof of a B-17 Flying Fortress. I mean, what can I say? This is great. It really is. It really is. Second World War, obviously we had no cell phones, none of that stuff. This here is a representation of the type of communication gear that was used. And of course the radio man's job was to sit here and keep in touch with whatever he had to keep in touch with, the other aircraft, flight control, and to, I guess, relay messages to the crew. He had his own machine gun that was normally sticking out of that hatch, which they've removed. So, here's some more radio navigation equipment over here. I'm gonna take a walk up to the cockpit. Oh, I never thought I'd be in Bombay, but here I am in Bombay. But it's not Bombay, India. It is Bombay in a Boeing B-17. I'm surrounded by 750-pound high-explosive bombs. I believe, to the best of my knowledge, they've been rendered inert. compartment of this B-17. Now what's interesting is that this bomb site is a Norden bomb site. This was built in a secret factory at the Westchester County Center. When they built the Norden bomb site, they had to reinforce the roof of the Westchester County Center to make it sabotage proof. And that brings home how everybody was involved in World War II. These planes were built in Seattle, Washington. This component was built right in White Plains, Norden bomb site. I have to say, I never thought I'd be sitting in the nose of a B-17. I really never did. I'm worked up. I really am. I mean, if I could, if they let me, I would sit in the pilot's seat. But I don't think they're gonna let me. I'm not qualified. But, yeah. We're heading out towards the Tappan Zee Bridge, which is in need of replacement, and I think we may be on a special mission to help that happen. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I've got it right in my crosshairs here. Just kidding. Luckily, we're staying on the New York side because if we drift over toward New Jersey, there might be some hostile fire. I don't know. Nice periscopic sight. You can see the currents in the Hudson River down there. This is a real trip, I gotta tell you. This is every boy's fantasy come true. I think I need a new adrenal gland after this. I'm so excited. I mean, you can reach out and touch it. You're touching history. American-made history. Talk about over-engineered. These planes used to come home with giant holes missing, wings shot off, engines blown out, leaking oil all over the place. Put your head up. Got the oxygen indicator here. Wow. Got plenty of ammo. These guns were designed to be fired from aircraft, and they had special cooling requirements. They had a very high rate of fire, high cyclical rate of fire. As a result of that, firing these guns for a sustained period on the ground would melt the barrel. Good. All right. Here we are. I'm looking at the tops of the trees. We're about to touch down, and I have to say it's been the ride of a lifetime. Whoa, there we go. You know what? This is a better, smoother flight than the flight I took across Puerto Rico. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, wow. Anyway, I'm speechless. You know why? Because I always wanted to fly up in a World War II airplane. I honestly never thought it was going to happen, for good reason, since there are very few of them around. And the Collings Foundation and the crew of this plane have been generous, and they've been very nice to us. They've let us look around the aircraft, and they've let us play with the weaponry and the navigational equipment. And I hope nobody was hurt as a result of that button I hit that said flare. Did you see those flares come out? So I don't know. If necessary, I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to thank our pilot, Mac McCauley, and I wanted to thank Wayne Patton, our flight engineer. They've been experts, and we've had a smooth ride in a really smooth piece of equipment. And this is why olive drab is my favorite color. Because when you want to be serious, you better be olive drab, okay? I don't know why they don't make olive drab cars anymore. It's something else. When you see this, doesn't it say serious? You know? Girls, do you have olive drab, you know, clothing?
Why, yes, I do.
It's something else. I gotta say, if you really want to meet beautiful women, you have to go flying in a B-17. Wouldn't you ladies agree? Hey, your hair, well, it's 110 knot hair. What can I say? It's a new line of hair products my wife is going to be selling. It's called 110 Knot. Yeah, look at that face. Look at that. Woohoo! We sat in the same seat that your father sat in when he was in World War II, in the Bombardier seat.
What? Okay.
You sat in the same seat. Isn't that kind of strange?
In the B-24.
Well, it's still, you know, 8th Air Force. And the best thing about these planes is they're unpressurized, and I'm unpressurized, because I just got rid of any pressure I might have had. I just stuck my head out the roof of a bomber. So, anyway, we're going to be landing very soon, and we're going to be interviewing the flight crew. We're going to be interviewing some of the people, and I want to thank you for joining us on the local frontier in this B-17. See you all later. I wanted to thank our pilot, Mac McCauley, right?
Mac McCauley, right.
And we had a smooth flight. It was smoother than a lot of flights I've had between New York and Buffalo and between New York and Fort Lauderdale. Really a testament to this machine.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a nice day. It's a beautiful day out there, and we're very glad you guys could come with us.
Do you have? Does this plane have like? What would you say about the wing loading in terms of? It has very large, you know, wings. Does that contribute to the fact that it doesn't really buffet too much? Or?
Yeah, that contributes a great deal to its stability.
Right.
The Boeing wing design back in those days was really good and really advanced. It was a very, very stable airplane, and it also allowed it to get to altitude.
Okay. And these engines you mentioned, I think they're 1320s. Those are
no, these are actually 1820s. They're 1200 horsepower. They're the same horsepower as the 1320.
Okay.
That's in the Liberator, but they're a little bit different configuration.
Okay. And these were all made in. These are Pratt & Whitney's.
No, these are Wright Cyclones.
Wright Cyclones. Okay.
Right.
I'm trying to get as much stuff as I can that was built locally on this plane. Do you know which parts? Was this plane built in Seattle?
No, actually, this plane was built in Long Beach, California, by Douglas. There were
Okay.
several people that manufactured them. Lockheed manufactured them in Burbank, Douglas, and then, of course, Boeing manufactured a
Right.
great deal of them in Seattle.
Okay. And I noticed you have these mission insignias here. Did you guys do this? Did you take these off of the original airframe? These mission insignias, or
The original airframe itself, which wasn't the 909, was Air Sea Rescue during the Caribbean during the war. Now the original 909, which we're honoring because it was such a famous airplane, actually you can see it did 140 missions. It never had an abort for mechanical reasons. It never had a crew member get hurt or casualty, and it never missed a target 140 times in and back. It was considered one of the luckiest airplanes in the 8th Air Force out of Bassingbourn, England.
Wow. And on the other side, I noticed there's the names of a lot of crew members. And
Right.
where are those actual crew members who were on there?
A great number of them were. You can see the bomb group and bomb squadron, 91st Bomb Group,
Okay.
323rd Bomb Squadron, and but basically they were people that helped us donated to the restoration of the aircraft and the upkeep and maintenance of the aircraft as it's ongoing.
It's certainly a worthy cause. I mean, you know, this is flying history right here.
No, absolutely, and we're around as much as we can every year, and to visit at least about 120 to 125 cities every year to honor the veterans and their families for what they did during that great period of time.
It really shows what American industry can do when it has to be put to the test.
Absolutely, and during World War II, as you can see, everybody pulled together and everybody was building everything. We had Boeing and Douglas and Lockheed and everyone building all these different airplanes.
I got a question for you about the hydraulics and about the control surfaces. I noticed when I was in the aircraft, you could see the cables being actuated by you.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
are all the control surfaces mechanically controlled? Or?
They're all fully in cable. There's no boost. There's no fly-by-wire. There's nothing. It's all just mechanical. The control surface. There's the hydraulics on it. The only thing hydraulic on this airplane are the cowl flaps and the brakes. Everything else is what you saw. The pulleys and
even the landing gear.
the landing gear is electric.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So really, that made it a pretty sturdy. Made it a pretty sturdy platform because you didn't have to worry about hydraulic leaks
Exactly.
from getting hit by flak and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Did you guys remove the armor plating from this before you restored it?
Yes, we did. Right.
Okay.
It's pretty heavy armor plating. There wasn't a great deal of it, but it was pretty heavy, and we wanted to keep it light as we could.
I imagine you didn't need it, so
Right.
for your purposes.
Exactly.
And I got more questions than we have time, but I'm going to ask this one right here. Are either of us small enough to fit in that ball turret, or did you have to be like a real midget?
You know, there was nothing published basically on the size.
Right.
But I understand from talking to several ball turret gunners, when they went through gunnery school, there was a string that was across the doorway.
Right.
And anybody that didn't have to duck to get underneath that string was sent into a room, and first thing they saw was about 8 or 10 of these Sperry ball turrets.
Okay.
So there wasn't anything published, but they were all small guys.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You can't argue with a man's height when he's got to fit into a little bowling ball like that.
Absolutely.
With 4 machine guns in it,
and
right?
sit there for 8 to 10 hours at a time.
And there's issues that arise from that as well. So don't drink a pot of coffee before a mission, I guess, right?
Yeah, God
so,
love those young kids.
Yep.
They were great.
So let me ask you a question about the air crew. You had 10 people in a combat mission?
There were initially 10 people in the mission,
Okay.
yes.
And you had the bombardier, radio. Was the radio man also a navigator, or was that a separate?
No, right up front here you had the bombardier.
Okay.
And right behind him, right here, you had the navigator.
Okay.
Right? And then behind him, you had the pilot and the co-pilot, and the flight engineer, which also had the top turret gun.
Okay.
He sat right behind them. And then after the bomb bay, you had the radio operator. He coordinated all the frequencies to be able to give the navigator a position fix. And then behind him, behind that bulkhead, you had the ball turret gunner. Then you had the 2 waist gunners, and then you had a tail gunner.
Okay.
10 people.
And were they breathing pure oxygen or just compressed room air? Do you know?
No, they were building oxygen, pure oxygen.
Okay, pure
Yeah.
oxygen.
Yeah, they
Okay.
were up around 30,000 feet in this aircraft.
So you can. What I love is the fact that you can actually look down through the openings. You can look down around the ball turret. You can look down through the bomb bay. You really were not pressurized in any way.
Not
I mean, this
whatsoever.
was.
And at 30,000 feet, it was about 50 below zero.
Yep.
And consequently, from what I understand, most of the injuries, the minor injuries, were frostbite.
Frostbite. Huh?
Frostbite, yeah.
Okay. So, well, anyway, it's been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you for coming
And
with
hopefully
us.
we'll do it
Sure
again
enjoy
next
I hope
year.
You guys are welcome anytime.
Thanks.
God bless you for coming.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. I'm here with Wayne Padnall, the flight engineer on this B-17. Hey, Wayne.
How you doing today?
All right. Where'd you flying from?
We were just down in Belmar, New Jersey.
That's not that far away. I thought you were going to say something like Panama City or something like that.
I wish.
How far do you take this thing?
This airplane travels cross country. We go from East Coast to West Coast, all the way south, all the way north. We just kind of make one big loop of the U.S. We're on the road for about 320 days.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you're the flight engineer. You're in charge of monitoring all the engines. As a matter of fact, how does this sound? You tell me what you do.
Okay, well, basically, a flight engineer is one of my titles. I'm mainly the Collins Foundation chief mechanic. I oversee the maintenance on all of our aircraft that were on the tour. A flight engineer is another one of them because we give the rides in the aircraft, and I hate to say babysit, that's maybe not the correct term, but watch over people so they don't get themselves into trouble, make sure they actually enjoy themselves. I'm also a pilot. I get to fly the B-17. I actually fly the Mustang sometimes. I've been on B-24 a little bit, so it's all, everybody out here is, how should I say, everybody's just out here for volunteers. Everybody likes to do everything as much as they can because we all love these airplanes. We want to keep these airplanes flying.
You know, so you're living my fantasy. You get to fly around in these classic aircraft and push the throttle. And wow, I'll tell you, I bet you it's not just mine. A lot of guys would love to do what you're doing.
Yeah, we get a lot of people, you know, who are very jealous, wish they could have our job. But sometimes, you know, we have our days. Like I said, we're on the road 320 days a year.
A lot of fan problems and stuff?
Not necessarily fan, but, you know, just get some days you just get irate. You know, you hear the same questions over and over and over and over and over. And sometimes it wears on you. But, yeah, you know, it's like you watch some P-51 take off. You know what? It makes it all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the sound. And you know what? And the way this thing is built, it's so over-engineered. You know what I mean? This plane looks like, you know, it looks like it could crash. Well, they did in World War II, right? These things are really heavily built.
Oh, very heavily built. You know, you've seen a lot of photographs. You know, half the vertical tail's gone. They come back with no horizontal. They land landing gear up. You know, come back on 2 engines, maybe sometimes 1 engine. I mean, the aircraft was basically a flying tank. I mean, it was. You know, it had 10 crew that it had to get home. and I also had to carry the weight to the target. So it was very sturdy. This airplane is a very stable aircraft.
Wow. You ever fly it with more than with any of the engines out, or do you just totally baby it?
No, you know, we're not quite like we were in the military. We don't. The aircraft are not flown as heavy as they were during the war. You know, we fly them around. They're about 44,000 pounds. Back during the war, you know, they always exceeded gross, so they were taking off 80, 85,000 pounds. Sometimes, yes, we do have engine failures. You know, an engine can come and go whenever it wants. On average, we get roughly about 1,500 hours out of an engine, but we do have our failures, and you know, there's a lot of crew training for when something like that happens. So it's this airplane with one engine out, you don't even know the engine's out.
And what kind of fire extinguishing system is on is it the standard one that was in there in World War II with the CO2, or is it more advanced?
No, we have halon systems now. I don't know if you got to see when you're up there in the cockpit, you can see the handle for the original system, and the two bottles are actually on the front door. When you crawl up the front door, they're sitting right there, but we have one in each nacelle now. It's the new and improved. That's what a lot of airlines use also, is a halon. So we try and keep the aircraft as safe as we possibly can, because like the airline, we're giving people rides in the airplane. We want to make sure everything's covered, so if something does happen, nobody gets hurt.
So you gas this thing up pretty much every time you stop. I noticed that you're not gassing this one up. They're just gassing up the Liberator over there.
Well, we usually don't. We try. We don't like to totally fill it up, because right now the way the aircraft is, it carries 1,700 gallons of fuel. We usually fly it around maybe 1,200 gallons. That gives us enough to where if we got 3 or 4 rides in the morning and 3 or 4 rides in the evening, we got enough fuel. It keeps the airplane light enough. We just try and be as easy as we can on the aircraft. You know, they're old. They're 65 years old. I'm not saying we're going to break them or they're going to break, but, you know, it's just like an old muscle car.
Why would you beat on it?
Yeah, exactly. Why beat on it? It's
Yep,
a piece of, you're standing next to a piece of history.
Yep.
That's what this is.
Wow. Well, it's a pleasure, real pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to flying with you later.
Yes, I'm glad you got to fly with us. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Take care.